Sa mga platform ng social media ngayon, madalas na napapansin ang kalidad ng nilalaman. Sa Den, ang mga gumagamit ay nabayaran para sa paglikha, pagsusuri, at creation ng kalidad ng nilalaman. Ang mga tagalikha ng nilalaman ay gantimpala batay sa pakikipag-ugnay at maabot ng kanilang post o komento. Ang mga tagasuri ng nilalaman ay gantimpala batay sa bilis at resulta ng kanilang mga hula tungkol sa aling nilalaman ang uuso o mag-viral. Ang mga may-ari ng komunidad ay gagantimpalaan batay sa pakikipag-ugnayan sa loob ng kanilang komunidad. Sa Den, nagbabayad ang kalidad ng nilalaman.
Hello, denizens, and welcome to another what are we calling these now? DENDAO calls. DENDAO calls?
Right? I probably think it's right.
Transitioning with the name? Yes. So, welcome to the governance call, the weekly governance call. Here with Joe Dragon again. How you doing?
Hello.
And I predict that as we're getting increasingly busy, we're going to continue doing some debate and real work during these governance calls too, because I know there's some things that I meant to talk to you about already and get some input on about DEN related stuff that I think I'll probably just talk about today, and we can make a conversation out of it.
That's perfect.
We've got LCP results are in for March, so we have winners there. There are some discussions on some DENDAO governance issues, not issues, but some stuff to vote on. And then one real quick thing is, if you can't use the app right now because it comes up and has the splash screen and doesn't go into the actual Den app, that's because a recent update has affected you, and you need to either uninstall and reinstall the app, which might be the easiest thing for you, or if you know how to do it, to go into the app settings and clear the storage. I know for Android users at least, clearing the cache did not work for me, but clearing the storage did, and I didn't have to uninstall and reinstall it after I did that. So a note on that.
Yep. Score one for iOS. They maybe didn't have to do a
It affected them too.
Oh, it did.
Yes, it did. Yep. It affected both platforms. I was talking to the dev, our dev that informed me what was going on this morning, and he said he confirmed yes, it was both iOS and Androids.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, right. There's that. So who won? Results are in. Let's go figure it out.
Yes, two, right? Two.
We have two. Yeah, we've been getting one, and now we have two. We changed, if you don't remember, we changed the what do you call it? The number of potential winners. The way we're doing it, still just the number one top by lore, but then we took the top two, right, by unique voters. So one from each category. One. So contest and collectibles. Contest won in both categories because it was the second most popular, so it did win in both categories. But interestingly, if we hadn't done that, we still would have gotten two because collectibles won overall.
But I think the only reason that we would have gotten two is because we did that.
Yeah.
because
it affected the
because if we would only had one, I think that everyone would have just all jumped into contest. I think it was top four, right? I think that it would have been. I think I
see what you're saying. Yeah.
It's so funny.
Good point. It's hard to say. But that's great. I know we talked about doing a contest for when and if the mining layer either gets created or wins or whatever, to give away some lot to that. So I know I've got some numbers that, you know how there's a few contests already going where if you predict a certain number of transactions or, whatever, that kind of thing, and you like win a prize. So we could give away that based on I just got done completely rebuilding a mining rig, right? So I want to say, here's what I had, here's the configuration of the hardware, and here was my hash rate, and then here's exactly what I did to improve the hash rate. Can you guess the new number? Can you guess how much it improved? And then maybe the person who gets closest to that. So the contest will be cool. There's also Decent Crypto has been doing some stuff, I think, in the random layer with crossword puzzles, with I've seen the chess games in there too.
One.
Right. So that'll be some more of the kind of content that's in there.
The
and
chess
then collectibles is cool too. That's going to be
real quick on the contest too.
Yeah, sure.
I'm wondering, I don't know yet, say there are several, I have a good amount of lot and amazing views. I have good. I mean, there are a few layers that I'm wanting to, maybe give away a lot in the same way. Maybe I use the contest layer for that. I don't know. And one contest that I think needs to be made, whether I make it or somebody else makes it, I think that we need a Den-based contest, so it's all on chain, where you predict the gas prices, out for, I don't know, maybe fall of 2022, or maybe for the first half. I don't know, something. And Price is Right rules.
Pick a future block and say, what are the gas prices during this block or something.
Well, even if it's the max, you could say, by whatever date, and say UTC midnight, June 30, something like that. So it's middle of the year, and you'd say, okay, what were the max prices to that point in 2022, sourced from AAA or something, right? I don't know. We'll figure that out maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you gotta predetermine where the numbers come from. That's for sure.
Right. So anyway,
you said gas prices, and my brain went to Ethereum, so I had to realize that you were talking about fuel for automobiles.
Yes.
In the analog world.
Yeah. See, I mean, it's, by the way, for Ethereum, for the Ethereum, whoever posts things about Ethereum, little did they know that they could also blame Putin. All this time, they could have been blaming some foreign leader for their gas prices. I mean, anyway.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Not this. We won't get into a political conversation, but it's interesting, right? No. To where, and that's one of the things. This is related to Den, though, because one of the things that we see, like today, is we talked about it a little bit earlier on World Blockchain, is social media platforms influencing. I don't know how to put it nicely, except to say manipulating what people believe,
Yeah.
And so I remember getting censored from something on Twitter that I saw today that the New York Times is running. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, gosh, wouldn't it be better if we could just trust humans to use their brains and that's what someone asked me, what we were doing about censorship and misinformation. Not censorship, but misinformation.
Yeah.
One of the questions I get quite a bit actually with Den is what's your plan or what's your strategy to deal with misinformation? And I've gotten to the point where I just say we use humans.
So it's a marketplace. It's a marketplace. There's a lot more power in the human brain in every denizen than there would be in a multi-million-dollar AI ML algorithm that Facebook is going to use.
Yeah.
So,
because all of that is not primary, not all of it, but a lot of that is trying to mimic the human brain in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've already got those, so let's use them.
Yeah, and they're trying to tune it so that essentially, Joe doesn't like that type of political post, so we're not going to show it to him, even though it might be from a friend that I might want to discuss it. Right.
The bubbling effect. It skews even in the most mild form. It skews even voter turnout.
Yeah.
Because if you're in an echo chamber where you're like, oh, it's a sure thing, it's going to be a windfall or a landslide victory. So maybe people aren't as adamant about going out to vote because they are under the impression that there's no chance of the other side winning because they never see the other side. They never converse with the other side.
Yeah,
they never really get a picture of that. So.
All the info needs to be out there. People can filter it. So collectibles.
Yeah, back to the topic. Collectibles and content contests. So collectibles is going to be cool too because I like old stuff and I like figurines. I've got a little what's Neo's name? The actor Keanu Reeves. He's got a very big role in the Cyberpunk game, the 2077. Right. So I've got a figurine. It's still in the box. It's got Keanu as Samurai. So cool. I'll put that in collectibles for sure. Maybe get some conversation going, and so that'd be cool. That'd be great.
And by the way, LCP, these are all rolling out next week sometime. You have to have in any runners-up fee payments that you want created. And here's a question. So you can, if you go to the unique voters tab and you look at the top two, you'll see that India is the first runner-up. Japan is second. Mining is third. So I guess India, first runner-up. It would cost 200 matter for
Right.
anyone who has lore in it committed to create. Japan has it'll be 400 matter. Mining would be 600 matter.
Skip that one.
Well, it would be the 800, the eroticism that can't be created. It would
Do
be
we skip it,
800.
or do we make it fill the 800 spot?
I think
That's the question.
I think it'd fill the 800 because that way it's there. So I mean, theoretically, someone could pay to have it created, but it couldn't be created yet. But
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's fine. If they wanted to, they could, and then later on, when we have the tooling, we can create it when it's able to be created.
Then Den's Got Talent would be next, would be 1,000, and then you would go down. So firearms, all the way down to, I'm going to go. Let's see here, unique voters, all the way down to startups. Could be created for 2,500 matter, right? So it's quite a few. I don't know how many it is because they're not ordered on that tab or numbered on that tab by order. So, but anyway, all the way down to startups would be doable for 2,500. So my question is, and it came up in there's a governance issue on the node runners layer right now that an active question, is this node runners layer supposed to be Dragon Chain nodes only, or can I post stuff that would be non-Dragon Chain, and therefore do we need Dragon Chain tags? And the origin of it, if I'm correct, was Dragon Chain only. So I want to know, because I was thinking about creating the mining, like, go ahead, I'm going to pay the fee to create the mining layer because it would be cool. Or should I wait? Because maybe that becomes, I don't know.
It's interesting because mining, depending on how broad your definition of mining is, node running can be considered mining, but also mining and node running are different. Service node operating versus like proof of work, proof of stake, mining, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I think they could be symbiotic.
Okay.
But I don't know if there's room for both at the moment.
Right.
So
it seems the content is going to be, it's mining that's a particularly it's not easy to generate mining content, right? I mean, that's going to either somebody already mining, so
for sure. Conversations about it, and even like things like that are easy enough. But then I was talking to John Branch, T Swift or Die, who's on the coffee show with me, and he was talking to me about how he picks a layer to post in, and he looks at metrics and says, look, if people post in here, they get paid more, so I'm just going to post there, even if it's more applicable technically to a different layer. If it still sort of relates here, I'll still get paid more. So
you know what? When we make the interface, because we're going to have, in fact, it's on the list of features, right? So is it more important in dark mode? I don't know. But that the cross-post functionality where if you made a post and you didn't include it in this layer that I think people would be interested in, I could go ahead and cross-post it, get a tiny a bit of credit for it, and you would get the lion's share of the results if they're positive, posting another layer. But when you actually make the post, I mean, something that I think would be amazing would be, okay, you say you want this in a cryptocurrency. Do you all, but you could also say, oh, it should also fit into the mining layer, and it should also fit into the node runner layer. And it could theoretically show you stats, or at least a top level stat of, average matter mining in each layer, right? So you would know, this one, maybe the people who participate in this layer just tend to be looser with their energy, or something.
Yeah, maybe it's like some sort of just average, like among the consensus positive votes, like the average energy applied or something. Could be a decent metric between them.
True. So, and we are going to have leaderboards so that you can see. In fact, it's going to be kind of a prerequisite to the matter lot swap feature that you're going to have to know what a single lot generates on an 30-day average just to do that feature anyway. So we're going to have those stats, and then we'll have the ability to make a leaderboard on the layers, so you can say, oh, memes is up and politics is down and whatever. It'd be kind of cool. So.
Oh yeah, you could totally have like your own ticker market kind of thing, just for like who's outpacing the other for like votes and energy and more likely the payouts, the matter generated, right?
Yep.
I don't know whether to call it emissions from the NFTs or
that's
generated, but something like that. Yeah, and that's a measurable thing. Yeah, you can do a lot with that. That's cool. That's going to be cool. Oh, there's so much to do.
Yeah, it is.
All right. So speaking of those governance issues, let's see what there is that.
Yes.
I'm in the Decent Gains account, so let's see what it has to show. I might have to go into my. Oh, here we go. So DENDAO. We are already talking about LCP, so let's talk about this for a second.
Yes.
Explain the thinking here. There's some feedback already, which is great. And I haven't voted with this account, so that's great.
And I do appreciate the people, even and including the ones that disagreed with various things. That's what I love to see, because people are either offering up their suggestions or at least asking questions or whatever else. The thought behind this is that I watch among a lot of other things, of course, how the votes actually happen and over time and everything else. But in LCP, it's always been since the beginning, because we had to really think through the scarcity model. Like say the very first LCPs were energy based. We didn't have lore yet, so essentially you knew an LCP was coming, and so you had to like not spend any energy for a certain period of time so that you could get as much as possible. And there were some interesting hacks because of the way energy comes back and things like that. So ever since then, it's been really interesting to me, because if you have a lot of whatever in this case lore, you can affect which you can't necessarily be the absolute decider unless you want to throw too much in, but you can definitely affect what's visible and what people say. Oh my gosh, I can see this trended way up, so I'm going to put some, and then everybody else does, and then it ends up winning. And because we have been doing top lore, it tended to be that once everybody saw that something was the leading proposal, and that it was far enough ahead of everything else, then everybody would put in at least whatever they could into it, so that I know this is going to win, so I might as well get some lot out of it. And that, at least in my opinion, was kind of upsetting the real consensus, which is, hey, I want this layer to be there so I can start posting in it. And some people do that. Some people have just said, I don't care about the horse race, I'm just going to put my lore here. And yet and it's not a bad thing necessarily, but it takes a long time for some of them to move up. Like one of them maybe this cycle was a year old. One of these two proposals, I think. I can't remember.
Is it on the? Is there a note on when it was?
There was on the show the other day. Yeah, it's not in there.
Yeah, I was just wondering.
But anyway, so the thought was that. And that's why we did the two, just to demonstrate. Okay, the theory was that if we create 2 slots for where we've gone for many months, where we had 1 slot for lore and 1 slot for unique voter, and every single time, bar none, it's the same layer. And why is that? It's because it's a horse race, and so once something gets in the lead, there's no way to really compete. Everybody's going to put their lore in, so it's going to get the most unique. And that was consistent enough. I wanted to try, okay, let's try this out. So in this case, we threw up 2 unique. So, in the very, very most extreme side of things, you would get 3 max layers created. But in this case, it's also just 2, because you still will have that 1 flipped. And it's interesting that the highest lore was the second highest by unique voter. But if you also look, they're both 1.7 million something, right?
Pretty
So,
close.
pretty
There were
close.
three of them were 1.7.
Yeah, and so it
So,
very
yeah.
much was a horse race, right? So by the nose, um, um, the winner was chosen. So the thought in this proposal is that we still take the top by unique voter, because that essentially is kind of, okay, the most people want this layer no matter how much lore they had. That's very powerful.
Which is why we were choosing that in the first place, to be the
Right.
one that included more than one winner, right?
And that's also
Yeah.
why we use that ranking to decide the runners up rather than just by lore, right? So, but the two that we threw in, and I'll tell you why we picked we used Fibonacci's 8 and 13, right? But rather than using 5, because I first thought it would be the 5th runner-up, that we're using the 8th and the 13th because the 8th runner-up was, how do I say, it was under 1 million lore committed, and the 13th was reasonably below that.
Okay.
And so the interesting thing here, if this is approved, that for April would be that, let's say the layer that you really want to win is in the 8th spot. 8th, good, right? The funny thing is, let's say you only have 3% of it. And you're like, oh, I want 5% of it. So you put in enough lore to get 5%. It's like, oh, now it's the 7th.
It bumps it out of the winning slot.
It bumps it out of the winning slot. And so some people will have to pull lore out in order to make it win. It'll be a super, and it'll be, well, for one thing, it'll be much harder to manipulate, because when you're doing it with the top one, there's no upper bounds. You don't have,
yeah.
If
right.
I go over, I go over. I could go over by 20%, and nobody's going to be able to compete with that. Whereas with this, you have to keep it within that range. It's going to be and
I think it's kind of cool. I think it's the thing with the winning, like it's kind of the default whenever you set the two categories is like, okay, cool, we'll do one from each. See how it goes.
right.
And this is kind of interesting because there is discussion about whales and things that do tend to come up every couple of months or so. And the one that is winning by like most lore committed, like absolutely, like whales are in a situation where they can just decide who wins.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
So this would
And
this is interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's, and having some layers with lower lot, I think is really good too, because we don't have that right now except for with the very early layers.
Right.
Or some of the B2Bs.
That is the other one, because it would be, for one thing, for the non-whales, it will help them to get a more equitable share distribution. Like, it's like, oh, I could never, let's say I'm new to the platform, I could never get even 5% of one of these layers, but with this on whatever is ranked 13th, it might be very possible, right? So
it also kind of implies that you should just go ahead and vote for whatever you want legitimately.
That's in the end, and that was also why, by the way, that I proposed, and it was approved, the 2,500 down to anything with 8 unique, is because it essentially says, because we've talked about this before. It's kind of like a release valve for a signal to tell us whether we are creating enough layers every month or not. That if a lot of people are using this option, it means there's demand to have maybe 1 or 2 more layers created each month. And with this, it's kind of interesting because at any point, like say we could go down to let's say, what was that one that was the last one, startups or something. So
yes,
let's say world news. I mean, world news, that's a startups is 41,000 lore is all that's committed there, right?
Okay, yeah, that's a big difference from 1.7 million.
Yeah, and you think about that, that means that that rank, whatever is there, is going to get created. And it could get created. That is, somebody could come in with 2,500 matter and create this right now, and they might have a huge stake in it. And everybody else is like, oh, I really wanted that, but I was playing in the horse race, right?
Right.
So anyway, it's pretty cool.
Which, once again, that could still be good for one of the other features that are on the list, which is the lot swaps in platform,
Yes.
because then you do have situations where it's like, ah man, I missed that when I wasn't thinking that was going to get created yet. So then
Yes.
it creates doesn't create, but it allows a demand for that service.
Yep.
Yeah,
The opportunity's there to
yeah.
at least, because I like, there are some that I know I wish I would have gotten more of, because I'm like, man, I'm actually really interested in some of the content in some of these layers, and I have a far smaller percentage because I didn't wake up early enough on the Tuesday before and place my votes, and something had moved rank or something, so I didn't get what I would have wanted. It'd be amazing. So
Speaking of, last thing on this is the one that was from a long time ago was collectibles. It was
yes,
65 unique voters, 1.7 million lore committed, and it was proposed by Dragon Time back in December of 2020. So,
wow, yeah,
yes.
that's awesome. Yeah, month and a quarter, or sorry, year and a quarter. It's crazy.
Yeah, and there it is. So
that's awesome. I love it.
All right, let me back out of this. So here is, go vote for that. Go think about that. That's pretty much what we wanted to say about that, right?
I think so. Ask questions if you have any or whatever else.
You know what we should do? Actually, speaking of, we should go through some of the feedback real quick while we're here. Not all of it,
Sure.
but just some of the top ones. Angel Breaker is against not using a prime, so he's anti-fib pro-prime. Would vote against it, or has voted against it, maybe. But
he actually, and he misunderstood. He thought that the two new ones were by lore. So he thought, people could just move it around, but it's like, no, those two are by unique voter. No, wait.
No,
sorry,
right.
No, they're by lore. He thought they were by unique voter, so people could step in and out.
Jump in
but,
and out.
The main point was that it's by lore, so your percentage stake is going to affect it. But it was a good, super good question. Y'all Weird has a really good point that he might make it too complicated for people to understand.
That's a good point. There is a lot of complicated stuff. That's
LCP though.
I'll read that real quick for anyone who just has this in the background and isn't looking at the screen. And I'll paraphrase a little bit, but he says, for a platform that's already complicated and overwhelming to new users, unless there's an aesthetically pleasing and visual way to see it in action, I don't see this as the best idea at this current point in time. And that's basically the major point, is user friendliness and points of confusion. And that is an issue, because like, I'm still kind of thinking that we should hide some of the features, especially once we roll out chat coming up and all that. We should hide some of those features behind like an advanced tab or something to say, if you're using this like normal, you probably just need these icons. Kind of like how it is on the mobile app. Some of them behind there.
Yeah, because I do think LCP is something that, although a brand new user could take part in, and maybe not brand new, but somebody who's been there for a few weeks, they might have a little bit of lore earned. So, but at the same time, it's not really something they'll be into day one. So,
it's a pretty thorough conversation in here. So go check that out, see what you think, and weigh in.
Yes.
Who's the guy on the right?
There's an artist who put together an entire series of real people that are what the modern equivalent of an historic figure would like. There's Napoleon. The Napoleon one's hilarious.
Okay, interesting.
The Washington looks really good. I mean, it's just like, man, it's pretty good stuff. So he should have sold them as NFTs though.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite. One of the NFTs that I bought was from Chain Flip project that's coming out pretty soon, and on one of the updates from the underlying company that came up with that, one of their newsletters or updates or something, that said it was a report on the year, and at the end it says TLDR should have just made JPEGs. And so they did, and they were kind of successful. So
that's funny.
So that's the only one that's up for DENDAO vote right now.
Yep.
All right, let's bring this back to where I left off. One moment, please. So we have the results for the layers. Those will be created next week. Did we want to talk about the remaining 2021 lore behavior reward balance? There's a
We
discussion
should.
on that.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So where
Ah.
do you have an idea of where we're leaning on that currently?
There's one issue, and I've not gotten to get in there because I'm struggling to figure out how to politely say it. But it seems like most of the responses were, "Oh, you guys shouldn't do that. You should." Yes,
I've
we
got to go
could in
catch
the
up on that
future
myself.
change, but at the same time, that would come at the cost of the features development and stuff like that. Where the lore rewards are pretty good, and they're just all pool and behavior based.
Yeah.
But relatively simple algorithms. If you're holding, if you have a claimed address that holds dragon, or if you have a claimed address that holds matter or lore, or the matter or lore in your account, that it generates new lore, right?
Yep,
From
it
that
does.
behavior.
Yeah.
And so we are going to be turning on the liquidity because we did, and that's actually a pretty significant portion of the pool is that liquidity. And it was not turned on at all for 2021. So a huge portion of that didn't go out. And then the second part is that 2021, we did that pro rata. So I think we started 2/3 of the year in.
Yeah.
So we said, okay, that 2/3 of the almost 900 million lore was not distributed. So we have, and what's the number? Do we have the link on that?
I didn't put it in here because I'm not.
That's right. It's in the discussion, but it's essentially like 800 and something million lore, and so we have to decide on the most simple form. We could put them all out this year, turn on liquidity and turn on, because we already have the snapshots and everything else for liquidity, and we could reward it all this year, or we could take half of it and reward it this year, or we could take a quarter of it and reward it this year, and then the rest of it we could put in like 2025, 26, 27, or we could roll it out over 23, 24, 25, and then have enough to even go another 10 years if we wanted. And that's the question: do we want to put it out now? I would personally, I would like to see something going out to extend past 2025.
Yeah.
Just because then you think about it, there's a good key component for people coming in. Let's say it's 5 years, 6 years from now, that they still could earn some lore. So the LCP running, they can participate in that the way people do now without going outside.
I like that. There's a couple of kind of proposals or options that I like. What I wanted to say also though is like none of this is the final. Like we can change stuff.
Yes.
Back to what you were saying about the other options, the way that we can retool and all that. So we can definitely change stuff. But there's definitely so much room, like not room, but like we can so much more quickly roll out features and get everything in place so that Den can really be something that's got all of the expected features like chats and DMs and things like that. And then we can have that conversation because like then also the proper governance will be in place. All of the different options, all the different governance things will be in place. Even the behavior rewards, they'll all be finished and stuff like that. And then we can have those votes from people that have been, involved for a couple of years at that point. Even right now, that's, I mean, shoot, Den's only a couple of years old, right? I mean, I know it's older than that in like conceptually, but I've only been here for a couple of years anyway.
Yeah, and what was it? We had a second birthday for Matter? Is that right, or was it the first birthday or second birthday?
I don't know.
Second. I think it's second. Yeah, I think it's 2 years old. Yeah, so pretty sure that's right.
It is, because there's 700,000 of them.
Yep.
You can actually know. You know what?
Yeah. Yes.
Fun fact: if you go to Etherscan, you can see how many days it's been active very easily by just looking at how many there are, because only 1,000 get minted every day, forever for the next 1,300 years or something, right? And so 785 days it's been live.
Yep.
And that's how you can tell. And that's pretty cool. I like that you can just be like, oh, just go look at it on chain, and
Yep.
there's your answer.
Yep. Cool. So anyway, I don't know where we're leaning yet. I mean, I'm
Okay.
hoping we get enough. I'm hoping, and maybe I need to go in there and ask people directly too, that say, hey, that's fine. We can table that, like changes to the underlying system, but we just want to know with these tokens, how do you want to split them up over a time frame? So that's maybe,
Well, there's
maybe doing more
there's also
specific.
like we could potentially do a combination of a couple of things. I definitely like the idea of what you were talking about is extending that reward timeline because we are finding that like it's really handy for everyone to just have some of this stuff so that they can use it for the LCP and even for tipping if you want to like maybe this month matter is too expensive to tip a whole matter so you just want to tip some lore
Right.
because it's super cheap and it gives a nod to somebody and like there's I don't know. I just keep finding interesting
Yep.
ways to use it. Just like y'all weird mentioned, since we don't have DMs yet, if you wanted to send a message to another denizen right now, you could literally tip them one lore and put in a
Yep.
private message. And if they go
Yep.
look at their tips, they'll get your message, and it's
Yep.
like a hacky kind of DM system right now.
You can
You
even
know?
send an anonymous DM to them.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, because you click the
So
anonymous. That's funny. Yeah, you could. You
yeah.
could. So stuff like that. See, we got a DM system already. It's built in. It's just called tips. You just got to pay for it.
Yes.
Pay per
Yep.
message,
It
right?
works. It works.
Um, you know what? Speaking of that, there is not a notification that tip pops up when you get tipped, and I think there should be.
Yeah, it
I think
should.
if someone gives you a tip, you should be notified that hey,
Yep.
somebody tipped you out.
Yep.
So we can put that on the short list too.
And there should be the ability to reply to a tip message as well. That's
Oh, that could be interesting. Like
yeah.
that tip becomes a DM, and now you
Yeah.
can just have a conversation and
Mhm.
about like
Yeah.
whatever that
And
tip was for.
the chat system is coming along. The layer chat will be there pretty soon. I do think it looks like it's working. They're getting a couple of designs finalized, and then after that we'll get the DM and group interfacing in, and then we'll go and figure out what the next feature is. What would you say if you had to, off top of head, what's your favorite next feature?
My favorite next feature. I was actually just going to bring up a couple of chat examples, but favorite next
Okay.
feature is
Yeah.
probably going to be. Oh man, let's see.
I would guess.
Favorite next feature, top of my head, is probably going to be the ability to directly buy matter on the
Yeah.
platform.
Yeah.
Like if we have to do a standard e-commerce thing where it's like just a merchant transaction, or if we
Okay.
do it to where maybe you're buying it from another denizen who has put it up for availability, or however we do that, that might be where I'm leaning.
Okay.
Just
All
for
right.
like, because I'm doing a lot of stuff in person, and I'm doing a lot of stuff with um, like everyone in the Gainesville layer who has lot has
Mhm.
received that lot in person, like literally like face to face, which is pretty
Right.
cool and unique.
Yeah.
So the oh yeah, and so David Miller, that's Gravity Crab, by the way, from
Okay.
Coffee. Cross posting is great too because there are so many competing, just like we said with what John Branch was saying, what T Swift or Die was saying
Mm.
about having to choose which one you put it in. Well, you could
Mhm.
just cross post it to both or several if
Mhm.
it's related.
That's cool. When I'm thinking, and it's close to yours, but with the matter lot swap,
Yeah.
I want to see, but who knows?
Yeah,
We'll
I was
see.
thinking that was the.
They might be combined. I
Oh,
can't remember.
those are different things. It might be
It
combined.
might
Yeah, I
be.
was
I
thinking
can't
they were
remember.
combined. But
It
yeah, the
might be.
matter lot swap, either one of those, I can see
Yeah.
being equally as useful for what I'm
Yeah.
doing.
It would be most appropriate if I could buy matter. I'm a new user, and I want to get some of those NFTs so I could buy matter in order to get those NFTs. That would probably be nice. So
Yeah. Cool.
yes.
So I got a couple of screenshots real quick. This is from the test build of chat. And if you notice on screen, you've got a new icon here where your chats, currently this is how it looks. And
I hadn't
we're
seen that one yet.
iterating
Actually,
it.
that's good.
Cool. So it's got a little blue dot. So the notifications currently, that's your notifications for like posts and replies, and I think that that's where we should put a notification for tips as well, probably in the bell. And then
Yes.
your chats could be chats, layered chat, private chat, group chat, notification there, right? So this is in that menu you see, there's some fake groups here, or well, they're real. They're just on the dev version, and in that you can see how many messages in each category
Yeah.
you haven't read yet, right? So we do have it working where like it'll keep up with where you left off. It will apparently go away and come back. Okay. So if you navigate away from chat and come back, it will pick up where you left off. In
Yeah.
fact, that's the next picture I've got. One moment, please. Grab this one. So this is on the left and right, Bandit on the left and Todd with a very long name check on the right. And you have a couple of things in here. So there's this new hovering button right here. So this is when you've navigated back to the chat. You can hit that to go down to the new messages. It picks up where you left off, which is pretty nice. And then on the left, you have Bandit. This is back and forth where yours is blue, theirs is gray. You can keep up with, which ones are your messages and things like that.
Right.
So that's coming along and working. These are, I think I got these yesterday or whenever it was.
Yeah, there are a couple of styling things I know they're working to change there. We did have a short internal discussion on the message length, and I think we
Yes.
said, I can't remember what the final was. I think it was a Fibonacci, but whatever it was, it might have been 233 or something. Was the max character length for a message, and we expect in the future that you could send bigger messages, but there will be an energy cost or something. So
I like the idea of doing that, like allowing the bigger ones, but then giving that the free friction, the
Yep.
energy cost, that kind of thing,
Yes.
because that helps. That's a pretty good way. Like, how there's slow mode in a lot of
Telegram.
chats,
Yeah.
Telegram, stuff like that. That's kind of, I think maybe a better way to do slow mode because then you can spend if you really just want to send that follow up message real
Yep.
quick, that kind
Yep.
of thing.
If you need to, there's a way around it. So yeah.
Yep.
So yeah.
This is not the version that's going to be going out, but we did play around with like different options. I don't think we're going to have photos or images in it. Is that right?
I don't think at first. I know
At
we
first?
will, but I think we don't want markdown based linked images. We want to say you can attach direct images in, so they'll be on chain,
Got you.
things like
Gotcha.
that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that'll be in first pass or not.
Okay.
So,
Well, this is on mobile, and that's how it would look on mobile. So that's one to show that too. I mean, not that it will look this way finally, but it looks pretty darn good already, I would say.
yeah,
It's
it's
useful.
pretty clean.
That's the important part.
Yes.
So there's those update on chats. Da-dum-dum. All right, what else we have? We've got. Oh, so we are putting back real quick on the discussion about the remaining lore behavior rewards. We're putting together a vote tomorrow.
Really?
Submitted for
Okay.
GI. Yep.
Okay.
And I guess it's Lore's first birthday and Matter's second birthday. So Matter's a year older than Lore.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
true.
And then some more input on features. Reveal consensus is a pretty good one, and having the like the eternal reports for a post, right?
Uh-huh.
That's another
Yes.
crowd favorite.
Yes. Oh, yes, yeah. That one. I mean, all the data's there. We just don't have an interface for it, so that wouldn't even be that
Yeah.
bad. Wouldn't
And
be
you
that
can
hard to
even
do.
look like on the historical vote. You can see not all of them got votes, so you can actually see pretty weighted like what the community wants. Some of them people are like not even worried about right now, didn't get any
Mhm.
votes, and some of them are like, yeah, next.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
cool.
And we do
Cross-posting
have
would be
one other
faster,
thing.
and so would the reports than the
Oh.
lot swaps.
Okay. And
Consider that too.
yeah, and that one's gonna be interesting because I assume that when we're close to releasing the chat feature, at whatever point, we might only release it with Lair, and maybe we hold off the others for now. I don't know, but when we, that might be a smart thing to do. When we're about done with it, though, we'll probably come back and roll out another what do you call it, a priorities
priorities list. Yeah.
issue. Yeah. So
And I think that's cool because then you can dynamically update what's most important at the moment, depending on current events and things like that.
Yep. And something else to announce before we get out of anything else that we are seeing interest in, and this is very early, but we know of at least 2 other projects that are either committed to or likely to do their entire DAO interface on Den, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and they're custom either special tokens or behaviors or something else tied to it. So we're already getting that.
I think I know which ones you're talking about, and I know of 2 more locally.
That's
that
right.
Are interested.
Yep.
One of them may have imploded, but the other one's still a go.
Okay, that's good. That happens,
so we'll
right?
See.
So
Yeah, all the time.
that's awesome.
It's the way the world works, man.
Yep.
All right. So what are we missing? Anything that we want to make sure that we hit on, Joe? Let me think.
He's probably, I don't know.
Cool. Well, remind people that this happens on Thursdays. And if you want to keep up with the latest stuff, do watch these on Thursdays. And catch up with Coffee on Wednesdays. Catch up with Super Happy on Tuesdays. That's where the AMAs happen. You're doing another full AMA again on the 1st of the month? Is that, or are you going to, since you just did one, are you going to?
Definitely will at the 1st of the month. I mean, I even proposed internally maybe we just do it every week, but I don't know if it makes sense, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, there's always good information there.
We could do it where the top 3 get lot rewards and the rest maybe get answered up until however much time I have, and maybe that'd be a good way to do it. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do it one way or the other. And then also there's some stuff over in World Blockchain to vote on and think about as far as topics in April. What kind of things do we want to talk about blockchain wise and how it applies? And then let's see. There's merch for Coffee with Den, and there's merch for World Blockchain Roundtable now, which is cool. I haven't got my World Blockchain stuff yet, and neither has Satoshi Shon.
I wonder why that is. Maybe we can talk.
The difference is that I didn't order mine, and he did.
We need to figure that out maybe. Because I did get mine, but I ordered it a while back. So there really might be something.
No, actually, someone looked into it and said that it was a supply chain issue. It was like stuck in supply chain hell or whatever the message says.
Yeah, I do know whatever the vendor that we go through for it has locations. If I remember right, that they have a manufacturing location in Europe, and they have one in the U.S. that I think is East Coast, and I think they might have one in Asia too. So that the orders do come from wherever that is, but who knows, right? I don't know. Because I know that some things, like there are some types of like say shirts that you can't get in one of the locations, and so they put a marker on it. But anyway, whatever.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're not going to go into this now because it's too late. But at some point, I want to catch up about Miami in April. Since earlier today with World Blockchain, I think I kind of talked myself into wanting to go down there. And if I am, I want to talk about what I can do with as far as spreading the word about Den and talking to people about how that works and stuff. There's a couple of interesting. There's the Monero Beach that I'm really interested in, and then there's Shitcoin Miami, which is a really fantastic, funny name. But it's a fantastic collection of projects and people.
I like what I hear about that model, how they're doing that. And so maybe you should post something in either, maybe marketing strategy by Den.
Oh yeah, we do have a strategy marketing thing. Cool. Maybe we can have a conversation over there and pick brains. Cool. Yeah. All right. So I will buy the next, at least buy coffee next week. I'll know if I'm going down there. So if you're going to be hitting up Miami for Bitcoin conference, for Monero, for Shitcoin, for this, for that, could be that we have a Den meetup, because I know Greg from Rivet said he's going to be there, I think, right? And Satoshi Shon said he's involved. He's going to be there. And I would love to catch up with those guys anyway. So that could be a thing. We'll see. Maybe we'll
There,
do
there are a
dinner
lot
when we
of
are down
there are a lot of Floridians.
there. Oh, and you know what?
in Dragon.
I want to say, is it who am I thinking of? Oh, Crypto Curious, I think, is going to be down there too, and we might
Really?
meet up.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it could be there could be a lot of good reasons for me to go down there. I might have to just do it.
Right on. Okay. Yeah, we'll figure it out. All right.
Okay, cool. Well, everybody have a good day, a good weekend, and see you around, and keep on keeping on. Here's Enter the Dragon.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible. But that conclusion is laughable, so with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now?